welcome or welcome back to my channel and to today's video where I have another book haul for you. Do we want to think back to the end of 2024, Kat, who was like, we're going to slow down on buying books, we're not going to have this happen again in 2025, and then we're coming to you in March with a 33 book haul. I blame the works and it's cheap books, what can I say? But, you know, happy to support a bookshop. So I guess there's that. A real mix of books today. I have one biography, I have a lot of romance, it's the main genre that I read, and then we have some fantasy with some really pretty special editions as well. So let's just get into it because this is going to take us a while. First up we have the one hardback that I have that's not a special edition and the only biography, which is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. This is a really great biography. I talk about it in my January reading journal and reading wrap up if you want to check out my full review. But this is basically about Kelly Bishop, who plays Emily Gilmore, so the grandma in the Gilmore Girls, talking about her career. And it's not really about the Gilmore Girls. It does touch on the Gilmore Girls a little bit, but it is mostly about her career on stage and in film. I think you'll really like this, particularly if you are a fan of theatre like I am, because a lot of this is about Kelly's performance in musicals. So she was one of the original cast of A Chorus Line. So that's really fun to hear about. And it also just kind of spans this like really long career journey and how she's dealt with love and loss and how that impacts into her journey. Such a good book, would really recommend. I actually listened to this on audio, so I've not read the physical version. So I've not had a look at all the photos and stuff, but that's really fun. I'll go back and look at those. I was bought this by my friend Emma for Christmas, but I really enjoyed the audio experience of this because it's narrated by Kelly Bishop. Next up, we have a couple of graphic novels. I love graphic novels, as you can see, big fan, especially of YA graphic novels. So first up, I think this one would be a YA. This is Brielle and Bear, Once Upon a Time, which looks like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So very excited about this, by Salome Doku. I believe Steph Loves has read this because I think when I was in Waterstones looking at books I could get, I always check Goodreads to see what the reviews are like, and I'm pretty sure Steph has read this. So first year student Brielle, a daydreamy book lover, me, knows everything there is to know about fairy tales. Returning to the city of Rosebridge 4 years after moving away, she attends Once Upon a Time University, I'm already obsessed with this, with the intention of living out her fairy tale dream. When Brielle meets Bear, shy vice captain of the Prince's rugby team, at the bookshop where she works, Brielle's dream is off to a good start. Determined to forget the past and with an unexpected new relationship blossoming, Brielle feels she's finally living the dream. That is, until she discovers she's not the only one hiding something. Hope, dreams and magical secrets collide in this stunningly illustrated and irresistibly romantic coming-of-age fairy tale where the path to happy after is never easy. I can't wait. And also I've just turned to the first page to give you an idea of the art. Hi. Oh my god, it's so cute. This is the next page. I'm gonna have to read this today, I think. This is so stunning. I cannot wait. Oh my goodness. I hope that it's gonna be a series rather than just a one-off. I don't know for sure. So excited to read this. This is giving me Ever After High vibes. I don't know if you know what Ever After High is, but it's basically, there was this series of dolls and then it got turned into a Netflix show, or the other way around, I don't know. But they are all like fairy tale retellings and the characters are dressed up in like amazing costumes. And I love Ever After High. I have many, many of the dolls. This is giving me those vibes. I'm so excited. Next up we have a graphic novel that I have been wanting for a while and resisted until we went on this trip to Bristol, and I wanted to support all the bookshops, and I was like, this is what I'm going to get from Forbidden Planet. This is Constantine Distorted Illusions, and it's by Cami Garcia and Isaac Goodhart. Cami is the author of the Teen Titans series, which is being re-released at the moment, which is one of my favourite series of all time. So I trust Cami. I wanted to, you know, check out what she had to say with this retelling. So this is also a DC retelling. So John Constantine is and has always been a magician of the highest caliber who doesn't need additional training from any highbrow magician. Thank you very much. Already loving the vibe. Sensing an opportunity for independence, Constantine falsely accepts an apprenticeship in the US to instead become the lead singer of his best friend's punk band, Mucus Membrane. When the band begins to dabble in magic, a complicated spell gets out of hand, and the disastrous consequences might be more than Constantine can handle. I assume he becomes a superhero, but I'm not like a massive superhero fan. I like them. I read a fair amount of superhero graphic novels, but I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest, like I don't have the most knowledge about all of the backstory of every superhero, so I won't know the story of this, so it's going to be fun. This one is really like dark and gritty, so I think it's going to be darker than Teen Titans is, but yeah, I trust Cami. I love her stuff, so I'm excited to see what we get with this one. So now we get into the much romance, and I'll do my YA romances first. I've read these two, so they're easier for me to talk about. So we have Dungeons and Drama and Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. The covers of these, oh, So good, honestly, so good. So I talk about these a lot more in my February reading wrap up, so do check that out if you would like my full reviews. But for a brief overview, this one is about Riley and Nathan. Riley is a massive musical theatre fan, like myself, which is why I was so interested in reading this series. She's so much of a fan that she steals her mum's car to go and watch a production of Waitress. She gets caught, and the punishment is that she has to work in her dad's gaming store. She works there with Nathan, who she vaguely knows from school, but like doesn't really know exists. She's not particularly interested in him. She is like such a stereotypical theatre kid. She just really only is interested in theatre and her own friends. And Nathan's like, you don't even know who I am. But her ex-boyfriend is like flaunting his new relationship in front of her, and in a sort of like moment of, oh, I need to prove to him that I'm over him, she basically pretends that Nathan is her boyfriend. He agrees to fake date her because he really fancies a girl called Sophia, and Riley is like, well, we can make Sophia jealous if we date each other. This is really fun. It's very cute. It's very young YA because they are like 15. So do bear that in mind. Like, I like that age YA. It may not be for you. So like, just bear that in mind. But I think this is really sweet. It's very dramatic. My criticism is that most of the relationship happens off page. So I didn't feel I like truly was like 1,000,000% invested in Riley and Nathan getting together, but it is really adorable, and I think many adults will like it. But if you're watching this because you want a recommendation for a teenager, I think that this book is a really great read for anyone in high school, but maybe a little bit young for a sixth former to read, potentially, because they're like year 11 equivalent, so like 15, 16. But it's really fun. I would really recommend. And then Dating and Dragons, which is the sequel, but they're not connected. You can absolutely read them as standalones. So Quinn has had an awful time with her friends at her previous school, and her grandma is also sick. And so her parents decide, right, it's time, we're going to move to a different part of Ohio. And on the first day of school, Quinn's grandma drops her off, and she really wants them to have like a cute photo to remember the first day. So she asks this random guy, will you take a photo of us? Logan is immediately interested in Quinn. He thinks she's beautiful. He thinks her grandma is quirky. He thinks she's really fun. And they clearly hit it off. Quinn is then struggling to make friends, but is eventually invited to be part of a new D&D group. And when she gets there, she realizes that Logan is part of the D&D group, and he's really standoffish with her, and she doesn't know why. And then it turns out that the group has a no dating each other rule, and Logan would rather date Quinn than her be in the D&D group. But Quinn is so desperate for friends, she would rather be in the D&D group. And it's about the two of them working out, are they going to have a relationship, are they not, and what impact would that have on their D&D friends. I think this one is really fun as well. It deals with some of my criticisms of the first one, where the relationship happens a lot more on page. I felt like I knew Quinn and Logan a lot better than I knew Riley and Nathan, and it has a lot more D&D, which, I mean, I read this one for the musicals, but there's not a lot of D&D in it, in my opinion. This one has a lot of D&D, if you're interested in that, which I am very interested generally in D&D. Quinn and Logan were just really cute together. Logan is like dream book boyfriend material. Again, I think this is really fun for the audience, but if you are also an adult who likes YA, I think you might find something to enjoy in this as well. Really recommend both of these. Next up, we have one of my most anticipated releases from last year that took forever to come into the works, is The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. I love The Kiss Curse and The X-Hex. They are two of my favourite books of all time, and I'm so excited to have the third one, and this will be a finished out series for me. So this series is like a mix of, it is a fantasy romance, but it's, I would say, slightly more on the romance than the fantasy, but there is a lot of fantasy in it, and I think it's handled really well. And we follow three brothers and then the girls that they date, effectively. So Bowen Penhallow has always been a loner, but when his friend, who happens to be a ghost, invites him to a Yuletide wedding at a grand Welsh countryside estate, Bowen reluctantly agrees. Tamsin Bly is not a witch, but she's managed to finagle an invite to the witchy wedding of the century. Hopes of making the score of the century, just one priceless magical artifact from Tyrrell House, would set her up for life. But Tamsin isn't the only one sneaking about in Tyrrell House, and the combination of a very strong spell and a classic wedding mishap transports Bowen and Tamsin back to Tyrrell's House 1958 Yuletide celebrations. Oh, so we've got some time travel in this one. Okay. There's always kind of something like very dramatic that goes wrong. Bowen and Tamsin must work together to get back to the present, but first they must reckon with the origins of Tyrrell's House haunting and the fact that somewhere between the mistletoe and the bonfire they might be falling in love. Didn't realise this was a Christmas one. Was banking on reading it in Halloween time, but we'll need to read it at Christmas instead because it's Christmassy, which makes sense. There's a load of Christmas trees on the cover. I have every faith and if Erin lets me down, I'll be devastated, but I have every faith I'm gonna love this as much as the other two. And they're really nice and short, which is a real winner in my book. I read a lot of long romances in February, so if we can get a short one, I'm happy. Next up, we have the third in a series that I have not started but own all the books in. But I get worried about books coming out of the works, and actually they've just changed their 3 for £6 to 3 for £7.50. Inflation is showing, everyone. So if I see a book at the cheap price, I want to get it. That is A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire by Sarah Hawley. Love this pink cover. As you can see, I have rainbow shelves, but this is my like fantasy romance shelf. So these books, they're so pale compared to my other fantasy romances. Maybe I need to incorporate those into my main romance shelves. Though where are these 33 books going? I have no idea. I ain't got the room for them. So this one says, werewolf Ben Rosewood is happy with his life. 100%. Everything is fine. His business is thriving. His anxiety disorder is, well, it's been better. As for romance, who has the time? I love anxiety rep in a book, so I will probably really love this one. But after drunkenly bidding, okay, but we do have a drunken situation, not my favourite, I don't drink. But after drunkenly bidding on and winning a supposedly possessed crystal online one night, he finds himself face to face with a beautiful, angry vampire. Eleanor Betancourt Devereaux is a rare breed, a vampire succubus. Thanks to an evil witch, she's been stuck in a crystal, forced to obey the possessor of the rock. Eleanor's been dreaming of breaking the spell and severing the witch's head for centuries. So why did the witch sell her to someone new? Eleanor could claw this werewolf's heart out and eat it if only the binding spell would allow her to. But Eleanor and Ben soon realise they can help each other with both vengeful and less hostile needs. And why not have a little fun along the way? So we've got some kind of like mutual arrangement sexual pact in here as well, I think. Yeah, probably Grumpy Sunshine as well. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea whether I like this or not because I don't know Sarah's writing, but all of the books feel like something I would like and give Erin Sterling vibes, and I love Erin Sterling, so let's hope so. It's also blurred by Ali, and in Ali we trust. I have the second book in the series, which is Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, which is from the Gold Rush Ranch series. I don't own the first one in this, this one was like on sale in WH Smith, so I picked it up. Really cute covers. I'm not going to read the blurb because I don't know the situation of the first one, and I know I've just done that for the book before, but Elsie is like one of my favourite authors. I've read one book by her. Is one of my favourite authors, and I would rather not be spoiled for this series, I think, because these will be connected, because that's what it's like with the Chestnut Spring series. So I think I won't read the blurb of this one, but I'm sure that it's going to be typical Elsie cowboy romance, and I'm here for that. We have two books that I have read and loved, and I just didn't own physical copies of them, and my friend Liz let me know that they were up in the works in the 3 for £6, now 3 for £7.50 deal, and I had to get them. So that is Fool Me Once and The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead. These are great. If you can get your hands on these are, in my opinion, really worth your time. I think they are as well written as Ali Hazelwood books, but they give me red, white and royal blue vibes in terms of they are very politics heavy, and actually the politics is a big part of them in the way that I also think it is with red, white and royal blue. So the first one in the series, and they don't look like they're a series on Goodreads, but they are, and you should read them in order, which I did not. So the first one is Fool Me Once, and in this one we have Lee and Ben. And Lee and Ben dated when they were at uni and had a pretty disastrous breakup. Lee did some stuff she shouldn't have done. They split up. Lee works for an electric car company, and she's trying to get a clean bill passed. And Ben works for the Texas government, and so he's the one that can help her. They have to work together, even though Ben would rather really not have anything to do with Lee again. And Lee is also on a real journey of self-discovery in this. She's like known as Stoner. She's a real party animal, but she doesn't necessarily want to be that person anymore. And it's about working out, can she get through all of this stuff she's dealing with and recover her relationship with Ben at the same time. Really good, really recommend. And then this one is about Lee's sister Alexis, and Alexis is a school librarian. She's the complete opposite of Lee, completely different type of story, this one. And she's really quiet. It doesn't lead an exciting life at all. And her boyfriend breaks up with her basically for being boring. And she decides like, okay, well, I'm gonna go and have a really good night out and show him. She goes and has this night out, and she meets Logan, who immediately really fancies her. They agree to go home and have a one-night stand. There's a fire and Logan carries Alexis out. They don't have sex. But they do get caught by paparazzi because it turns out that Logan is running for the Texas government. And his like PR convinced Alexis that she needs to fake date him because it would look really bad for his press if he was sleeping with this girl and carrying her out of a building. So she agrees because she doesn't necessarily have anything to lose and she wants Logan to do well. He seemed really nice. and it's about the feelings that they get while they're fake dating. And it was one of the first fake dating books I read, and it was so well handled, and I'm really happy to have physical copies of these in my hands. Next up we have another Elsie Silver. This is Wild Love. Love the covers for these. Like, not these, just everything Elsie Silver is just great, you know. So this one is the first in the series, so I can read the back of this one. So she's been driving him wild for years, the kind of wild that comes with wanting your best friend's little sister and knowing you can't have her. I love a best friend's little sister romance. Forbes may have labelled Ford Grant the world's hottest billionaire. Oh, billionaire romance as well. But all he cares about is escaping the press and opening a recording studio in the gorgeous small town Rose Hill. Something that comes after a screeching halt when he ends up face to face with a young girl who claims he's her biological father. Okay, after years of living in the city, Rosie comes back into town like a storm, beautiful, messy and chaotic. One wide-eyed, desperate plea for a job is all it takes for Ford to hire her. He vows to keep her at arm's length, but with her, verbal sparring is a type of foreplay, friction that soon turns to blistering heat. We're gonna have some fun writing in this, I think. Ford knows damn well he shouldn't cross the line, but shouldn't and can't are two very different things. The only thing he truly can't do is resist her. I mean, look, as I say, I've read one book by Elsie, but I think I'll love this. It sounds really fun. I'm sure it'll be great. Next up we have Fake It Till You Make It by Laura Carter, which is obviously a fake dating romance, so we're thrilled. Love the cover for this as well. It really gives me Beauty and the Beast vibes, which it's not, but it gives me the vibes. And me and my friend Liz are going to buddy read this for something really exciting later in the year, so I'm really excited about that, and I'm not going to talk about it until we get there. Sorry to tease you with it. On a day Abby thought would be the best of her life, her boyfriend is surely going to propose tonight, right? It all falls apart. Instead, he tells her he's met someone else, and then to make things worse, she loses her job. Oh my gosh. In an act of rebellion, she splurges her wedding savings on renting an apartment in an expensive building she's always dreamed of living in and kits out her wardrobe to match. But when her family invites her ex, a close family friend, plus a date, with 2 exclamation marks, to her parents' vow renewal, Abby realises her facade won't be enough. There's nothing for it but to fake one more thing, a romance, and she knows exactly who to ask, her hot new neighbour. This is like 100% my kind of thing. It like justifies why a fake date is needed, which I think is important in a fake dating romance. This sounds really fun. I'm really excited, and I can't wait to buddy read this with Liz. So then I've got some Christina Lauren, who are like just really up there in terms of my favourite authors. They're a writing duo, but they always write together. Yeah, they're really up there in writers I love. So these were on sale in the works. I don't like the cover for this one though. The colours are a bit much. This is Roomies. So Monday night, Wednesday morning, Friday lunchtime, Holland Baker plans her journey to work around the Times. The handsome Irish musician Calvin McLaughlin plays his guitar in the 50th Street subway station. Lacking the nerve to actually talk to the gorgeous stranger, Holland is destined to admire him from a distance. Then a near tragedy causes her busker to come to her rescue, only to disappear when the police starts asking questions. To repay Calvin, Holland gets him an audition with her uncle, Broadway's hottest musical director. This is why I picked this one up. It's a Broadway, people. It's Broadway. Calvin's luck seems to have turned until his reason for disappearing earlier becomes clear. He doesn't have a visa. They're gonna get married to get a visa. Impulsively, Holland offers to wed the Irishman to keep him in New York, still keeping her infatuation secret. Calvin becomes the darling of Broadway, while their relationship evolves from awkward roommates to besotted lovers. Yet surrounded by theatre and actors, what will it take for Holland and Calvin to realise that they both stopped pretending a long time ago? This is so my kind of thing. We've got a Broadway book, people. Thank you, Christina Lauren. And we have Love and Other Words, because this is the one that like everyone talks about in the US, and so I thought I'd pick it up. We have such a different cover in the UK, but I wrecked my edition of this. I've had it sat under a load of books, so it is flat now, but I did wreck it. So I may have to just buy a new cover, but I'm like, I should read it before I do that to make sure I like it. I love the cover for this one. I love the covers. And this one is, I think, a second chance romance, and it's really hit and miss with people on BookTube. So I'm interested to see what I think, because as I say, I do love Christina Lauren. I didn't like The Unhoneymooners, but all the others I have loved. And Tangled Up in You was like my favourite book of last year. Macy Sorensen is settling into an ambitious, if emotionally tepid routine. Work hard as a resident, plan her wedding to an older, secure man, keep her head down and heart tucked away. But when she runs into Elliot, her first and only love, the careful bubble she's constructed begins to dissolve. Once upon a time, Elliot was Macy's entire world. At 13, he was her first real friend, and by 18, he was her everything. Just as they were about to take on the world together, everything fell apart. And even after 11 years, nothing between them has changed. And although the memories of spending lazy weekends and summers together are obscured by the agony of what happened that night so many years ago, Macy can't seem to resist him. I don't think there's any reason I won't like this. This really reminds me of A Little Magic by Lindsay Lanza. Very similar book premise. So if you liked this, Obviously I've not read it, so I can't say for sure, but I would recommend A Little Magic by Lindsay Lanza, which I really enjoyed and has a very similar plot premise to this. Then we have Home Sweet Christmas by Susan Mallory. I do own the first one in this. I got it in a blind date with a book, so really interested to read the sequel. This one is a really bashed up copy though. Like, it's got residue of a sticker here. It's bashed up on the cover here. It was only £1, but I'm surprised I bought it because I do already own it on Kindle, so I didn't need the physical copy. But anyway, so with this one, it's set in a town called Wishing Tree, and the first one is, there's like 4 different character POVs, which I've never read a book like that before, but I did really enjoy it. So returning to her hometown of Wishing Tree is definitely temporary for Cameron. She can't wait to leave and get back to her real life until she meets Jake. Suddenly Cameron starts to see the town and its Christmas traditions differently. She thought she'd put her future on hold, but maybe her real life was here all along, waiting for her to come home. New in town, River is charmed by Wishing Tree's Christmas traditions and warm-hearted people, especially Dylan Tucker, whose snow-melting kisses bring her to the brink of love. But Dylan has a secret and River can't risk falling for him until she uncovers it, even if that means losing him forever. Both women find themselves faced with difficult decisions, but if they are prepared to risk their hearts, they might find they are about to have a Christmas to remember. As I say, I really liked the first one in this series. Interestingly, with this one, it doesn't say whose POV we're getting. I don't remember if that was the case with the first one, where you just have to like hope for the best. Like, I hope you know whose POV you're reading. But I didn't find it an issue in the first one, so hopefully won't in this one either. But obviously we'll be saving this one for Christmas. I didn't realise we had more Christina Lauren, but we have more, which is The Paradise Problem. Again, really obsessed with this cover. Anna Green has a plan: marry Liam Weston at the start of college to get the family discount on campus housing, and then sign the divorce papers as the graduation bells chime. I'm already obsessed. Everyone's happy and they can both go on their merry ways. Anna to live as a starving artist and West to teach at Stanford. A seemingly straightforward plan until West presents Anna with a catch, a big catch. West is one of 4 heirs to the Western food conglomerate, and although he wants as little to do with his family's heartless institution, he does want the $100 million he's set to inherit. However, he won't see a penny until he's married. 5 years post-grad, Anna must escort West to his sister's lavish wedding, present herself as his devoted wife, and be convincing enough that West gets his inheritance. The only problem, Anna is feisty, foul-mouthed, messy, and the complete opposite of what the Western family had anticipated for their son. Will they be able to convince everyone of their heart-filled marriage, or will it all come crumbling down? This sounds incredible. I love this so much. This sounds really fun. I can't wait to read that. And yeah, I got these on really good discounts, guys. We have one of my most anticipated releases for 2025, which I have already read, which is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This book is so chunky, guys. But in this one, we have Scarlett, professional diver, and Lucas, professional swimmer. And Scarlett kind of runs into Lucas and Penn, finds out that they split up, and Penn is like, you guys should actually just have sex with each other because you're into the same things in bed, which are really weird. I'm not interested in them, but you guys are. You should sleep with each other. And Lucas is, it turns out, always had a crush on Scarlett. And so he's like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And they start having this sexual relationship, which is not meant to be a normal relationship, but obviously turns into something more. And there's so much that happens in this. There is so much plot because there's all of this sport plot, and there's a plot with Penn, and there's then the plot with Scarlett and Lucas. Like, there's so much story in here. And in many ways, this should have been like my favorite book of the year because I love the Olympics, especially diving. It's my favorite sport. This is the Olympics book I would have written if I was going to write a book about the Olympics. And I actually was thinking last year, like, there's not a lot of books about the Olympics. And then Ali wrote the book I would have written in that sense. But the sex that's featured in here is really kinky sex and is particularly focused on like the guy controlling the woman in the bedroom. And Ali handles it really well because she's Ali, but it was just too much for me. It was just too much for me. I talk about it a lot more in my February wrap up, but it made me a little bit uncomfortable. So yeah, you can hear me talk about it in that, but I did still really enjoy it. Gave it 4 stars. I just don't like the cover though. What I really like is the Afterlight cover because that one matches all of my other Ali paperbacks in terms of having like the people on the cover by Lilith. But this one, we just have hands. And I don't like it. It doesn't even have sprayed edges like the US edition does, but it's the right size to match my other UK editions. So we have to accept it, but this is my least favourite Ali cover, and I don't like the Not in Love cover. I maybe like this more than the Not in Love cover, which I don't like, but anyway, it's not up to what I expect. But Mate, which we've just found out is being released this October, is back to what we want. So thank you, Lilith. Thank you, Ali. And then before we get into my special editions, this was a book I picked up completely on a whim in Waterstones, but it's I think I'm gonna love it. This is Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. It's like a Tinkerbell retelling. Look at the cover. So while most warm season fairies fear the legends of monsters lurking in the winter woods, Clarion can't help being intrigued, but she has little time to dwell on daydreams while the days to her coronation dwindle away. When reports of a monster crossing from winter into spring make their way to the palace, Clarion travels to the edge of winter where she finds Mallory, a young guardian of the winter woods. Together they form an unlikely bond as they race to save their lands. But as their alliance warms, they discover there is a reason a warm season fairy and a winter fairy must not be together, and the cost could be just as deadly as the monsters that prowl the winter woods. I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it, and I hope I'm gonna love it. It's also relatively big writing, so hopefully it wouldn't take me too long to read. I can't wait. And just this cover is everything. And when I bought it, the bookseller in Waterstones was saying that this book's been really popular, so I hope that that also means it's good. Right, now let's do the special editions, of which there are a few, because the works has been really knocking it out the park with the romance paperback special editions. And honestly, I'll buy a sprayed edge just because it's got one. And then I also have a number of really beautiful hardbacks as well. So first up, we have Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young, which is this. Look at it. Look at it. I don't know whether we're going to get re-releases of the other ones. I have all of Hannah's other books. I don't know if we're getting re-releases, but like a mixture of a Leni Kaufman cover and a sprayed edge edition. I'm so here for it. And I got these like the day before they were released. They came out like early in the works I happened to be in, and I was like messaging Liz being like, I'm getting them, do you want one? So I got us both one. I'm not going to read the blurb because I've not read Out on a Limb, and I know everyone's telling me to read Out on a Limb. And I really love Next of Kin. It was one of my favourite books of last year. So I'm sure I will love Out on a Limb. But yeah, everyone keeps messaging me being like, you need to read Out on a Limb. But I won't read the back of this, but it looks so cute. I'm obsessed with this cover. Leni has done it again. No cover artist will beat Leni for me. I can't wait to read this. Yeah, I have First Time Caller by BK Borison. That sticker really is doing this book dirty. Hi. Well, that's what she looks like, because you can she's on the sprayed edge. I've never seen a sprayed edge like this, so I had to get it just so that I had it. Will be honest, BK Borison is not my favourite author. The Lovelight Farms quadrilogy, I've read 3 of them, and there's something about her writing that is just not for me, and I'll talk about it more in my March reading wrap up because I just finished Mixed Signals. But couldn't resist. So Aidan Valentine has a secret. He's fallen out of love with love, which, as the host of Baltimore's romance hotline Heartstrings, is a bit of a problem. When a young girl calls in to the station asking for dating advice for her mother Lucy, the interview goes viral, thrusting Aidan and Heartstrings into the limelight. Lucy Stone thought she was doing just fine, but with all the Baltimore scrutinising her love life, or lack thereof, she begins to question whether she's as happy as she thought. Maybe a little more romance wouldn't be such a bad thing. Everyone wants Lucy to find her a happy ending, even the handsome, temperamental man calling the shots. Okay, Grumpy Sunshine. But as sparks start to fly behind the scenes, Lucy must make the final call between a radio-sponsored Happily Ever After or the man in the headphones next to her. This reminds me of The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. Has similar storyline vibes. Really enjoyed that. So hopefully I will like this. But as I say, BK's writing is just not my favourite. But I'm really interested in this. Has a lot of like caller interview stuff on it. Like there's a lot of like either texting or being on the call. So that should be really fun as well. Next up we have Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey, which is the 3rd in whatever this series is called. Hi. And I don't know whether we're getting re-releases of the other 2, but yeah, this is so fun. But I will say, I'm glad I rainbow my shelves for a lot of books, because red, green and blue is not a vibe. These do not go together, I don't think, but I love the covers. Whoever draws Tessa Bailey's covers is incredible. So I'm fine to read the blurb of this one because I don't think it will spoil the other 2 for me. When professional hockey player Sig Gauthier, don't know how you say that, his car breaks down and his phone dies, he treks into a posh private country club to call a tow truck. There he encounters the alluring Chloe Clifford, the manic pixie dream girl who captivates him immediately with her sense of adventure and penchant for stealing champagne. Sparks fly during a moonlight kiss. This is going to be quite insta-love though, and the enamoured pair can't wait to see each other again. But when Sig finally arrives to meet his dad's new girlfriend over dinner, Chloe is confusingly also there. Turns out the girlfriend is Chloe's mother. Oh, so their parents are dating. Oh, and they're engaged. Sig's dream girl is his future stepsister. Okay. All right, I don't know how I feel about that. They both know that they can never be more than friendship between them, but keeping that relationship platonic grows harder amid developing family drama, especially knowing they were meant for so much more. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, don't know what I'm going to think of that, but so Tessa's writing is the steamiest, although Ali's just topped that, I think, but Tessa is like the next down. I have really enjoyed a lot of Tessa's books, but sometimes they are a bit too sex focused or a bit too insta love, which this one might fall in the same category, but I'm still really interested to see. And I was going to say, like, this one is technically a hockey romance, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of hockey in here. But that's fine. Like, I don't know anything about hockey. Hockey's not really a big thing in the UK. But I like hockey romance. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully this will be a good time. We have Spiral by Bal Cabra. I do have Collide somewhere up there. Haven't read it. Could not get this. What if it had gone out of stock? Also, I mean, I'm sure I'll love Collide, but this one, it has a dancer. And I really love books about dance. If you have any recommendations for dance romances that you really like, please let me know, because I'm absolutely looking for more. This is another cover by Leni Kaufman. She's nailed it again. Elias? Walter Elias. Isn't it Walter Disney's middle name? I don't know how you say it. Elias Westbrook. A newly drafted Elias? Walter Elias Disney. Probably Elias. A newly drafted hockey player for the Toronto Thunder is facing the challenges of fame and media scrutiny. The tabloids are reporting on his every move, including which woman he was last seen with, but all he wants to do is escape the spotlight. Enter from stage left Sage Beaumont, an aspiring ballerina whose lack of popularity online has put her at a major disadvantage for securing the role she dreams of. When Sage finds herself with the chance to change her luck by fake dating Elias, she takes her shot. Soon enough, the flimsy rules they set in place fall away. But before things can spiral out of control, hence the name, Sage and Elias will have to decide if they're willing to take the leap together or if they'll have to call it quits. I really want to read this. I need to prioritise getting to Collide so I can read that. Then we have a book I've already read and loved, but they released a sprayed edge edition of Icebreaker, so I had to get it. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I own Wildfire in the Works edition with the ombre sprayed edge, but I have Daydreamer in the fancy edition, which I guess is Waterstones, which has like books on the sprayed. So they're not a perfect match for each other, but I love this book and I felt I deserved a sprayed edge edition. So Icebreaker is about Anastasia, who is a professional ice skater at university, and something happens with the skating rink and her and hockey player and hockey team Nate, they are forced to share the rink, and a relationship starts from there. It's really spicy, it's really fun, it's a really great series. This is the first of 3. I've loved all 3 of them, but Icebreaker is my favourite. It's a really hot and heavy good time. I don't know what else to tell you, it's a really good book. They're all a bit long, but they are really good. That is all of the romances. So now I have a sprayed edge paperback fantasy, which is The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. I don't know how to say that, I'm really sorry. This is weirdly blurbed by Ali. So maybe this is steamy, I don't know. I didn't know we were getting a Beautiful Works sprayed edge edition of this, but I picked it up as soon as I saw it, and I've not really seen it many times after that, so I'm glad that I picked it up when I did. I really liked the Fairy Loot special edition of this. Like, it was beautiful, but I just couldn't justify the price that people were reselling it for. So I have a cute paperback version now, and I think that this is a series, maybe a duology, and I feel like the second one, the hardback does not match. Is it red or something? And I was like, why would you do that? Like, why do they not make the series match? Anyway, this says, one lone light will stand against an empire. Light wars against darkness. All Talazan has ever known are the Hurricane Wars. She uses the power of light to fight for her people against the Night Empire. Enemies forced into marriage. All Alaric has ever known is darkness. He wields terrifying shadow magic. They all go. He wields terrifying shadow magic to cross those who stand in his way. But the moment Taliesin and Alaric clash, their lives are changed forever. A storm is coming. The coming storm threatens to destroy everything if they don't destroy each other first. This is Raylo fanfic, isn't it? That's why Ali blurbed it. It's Raylo fanfic. I remember now. Look, I'm fine with that. Love Hypothesis is one of my favourite books ever. I've got no issue with a Raylo fanfic. That's fine. We have the Hunger Games special editions in paperback. If you've been around the channel for a while, you will know that I did have the hardbacks of these. I didn't know we were getting paperbacks, and I didn't know the paperbacks were going to have a sprayed edge, which is much preferable because A, not a massive hardback reader, much more of a paperback fan, and would much prefer a sprayed edge than a plain book. So I sold my hardbacks. Annoyingly, I did lose money on them because a lot of places then released them like at less than I bought them for. But it's fine. I needed the paperbacks. I've not opened these yet, so I've not seen the sprayed edge yet. So we can open those together. Oh my goodness. They're stunning. Also, there'll just be much more room on my shelves now for having the paperbacks instead of the hardbacks, so I'm really happy. But are they going to do a matching one for Songbird and the Reaping? I don't know. I would really like to reread The Hunger Games because it's been a while, and I would really like to watch the films as well. I'd like to do a rewatch. So we have The Hunger Games. These are really small though. They are beautiful floppy editions as well. Like if you can get your hands on these, if we can get a wibble in there, that's outstanding. It doesn't, maybe The Hunger Games is just not very long. The writing's not particularly small. Yeah, and we've got a beautiful rose gold foil on the red. That's so pretty. Then we have Catching Fire, which is a red cover with gold foil and then yellow sprayed edges. And then we have Mockingjay, which has got pink foil and pink sprayed edges. Oh. And then we have Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I've not read or seen the movie of, which has got green foil and green sprayed edges. That's so stunning. Really hope we're going to get Sunrise and the Reaping, or whatever it's called, in a matching edition, because I'll be devastated if we don't. Then we have the special edition hardbacks. So first up we have Cursebound by Sarah El-Arifi. I don't own Feybound. I don't own it. But if you thought I was going to leave Waterstones without this, you've got another thing coming. Oh my goodness. It just happened to be in the Waterstones that I was in, and I was not leaving without it. I don't think Waterstones did a special edition of Feybound, or if they did, it's red. And I don't like it. I don't like the red version, but I really like the Fairy Loot version. So I'm going to get the Fairy Loot version, but I'm going to try and pick it up on Kindle first and read it to make sure I like it. Because I'd rather not spend 35 quid on a Fairy Loot version to then not like it. But I figured I'd be able to sell this very easily on Vinted if I didn't like Feybound. So I thought I'm not going to leave without it, because people are already reselling this for stupid price. And I was like, I don't want that to happen to me if I decided I love Feybound. So yeah, I'm not going to read the blurb or anything because I don't know anything about Feybound, but we'll just do a tour. Like, you can't walk away from a cover like this. You can't. Look at it. Look at it. And the sprayed edges are like such a perfect match. Like, Waterstones are really, really nailing it with special editions right now. I could not get it. Also, it's signed. So that's cool. It's also got a gorgeous map. And what have we got going? Okay, like you know, we've got no alternative dust jacket. I don't need one. And it's a naked hardcover, but that's fine. I'm going to display it with the cover on. So I don't need it to be super special. Because I think this is one of the prettiest editions that I've ever owned. And that's completely fine. I just love the colours, and it's so beautiful. Then we have another stunning Waterstones edition. As I say, they've really upped their game. They're really trying to compete with Fairy Loot and Illumicrate. That is A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. This was either a Fairy Loot or a Illumicrate book, and I knew it would be, but I didn't know how much it would resell for, so I was like, I'm gonna get the Waterstones version. Hi. Yeah, Waterstones absolutely nailed it. So this one is, I don't know if it's going to be a standalone or a series, but it's the first one, so I'll read you the blurb. But let's just take a pause for the end papers, shall we? My goodness. Wow. Can you imagine being a debut author and getting this edition? So cool. London, 1923. Dragons soar through the skies and protests erupt on the streets, but Vivian Featherswallow isn't worried. She's going to follow the rules and get an internship studying dragon languages. By midnight, Viv has started a civil war. With her parents arrested and her little sister missing, all the safety Viv has worked for is collapsing around her. So when a lifeline is offered in the form of a mysterious job, she grabs it. Arriving at Bletchley Park, that's fun, that's like near Ishmi, Viv discovers that she has been recruited to uncover the secrets of a hidden dragon language. If she succeeds, she and her family can all go home again. If she doesn't, they'll all die. But the more Viv learns, the more she realises that the bubble she's grown up in isn't as safe as she thought. And eventually she must decide, what war is she really fighting? That sounds great. I'm really excited. Wow. Yeah, oh, she graduated from Bath. That's where I went to uni. Oh, we love to support you, Esther Williamson. That's so cute. And her name is Steph. So we love to support you, Steph. That's so fun. Yeah, I just love this. Can't wait to read it. Then we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, because I've not done a haul so far for this year. This is the Stunning Waterstones exclusive edition. I have the first two already. I obviously had to get it. I really don't see myself unhauling this series. I've read Fourth Wing, I gave it 4 stars. I'm really stuck in the middle of Iron Flame, but I'm sure I will get through it. I know that Iron Flame is a dip for a lot of people, and then Onyx Storm is back up there. So I'm sure I'll love it. I don't see any reason why I would get rid of this series. But I wanted to make sure I had the matching edition because they're so pretty, right? So yeah, I'm not going to read the blurb because I've not finished Iron Flame, so I don't want to spoil it for myself, but it's super pretty. Oh, look at Violet and Sadum being so cute in the end papers. It's just a plain hardcover. I was going to say because it's the Waterstones version, but SF Williamson got a stunning version, didn't she? But this is so beautiful. Yeah, no more to say about it because everyone knows this series, right? And then last up, we have Immortal by Sue Lin Tan, because Waterstones nailed it again. Have I read any other books by Sue Lin Tan? No. Did I have to own this version because it's so beautiful? Yes. She's the author of Daughter of the Moon Goddess, right? I think. And I own those. And I just felt Waterstones had nailed it with this edition. And so I had to have it. This is a real problem. This end part of the haul is problematic, I think. But I don't care because I'm not going to be paying 60 quid for this on Vinted. I'll pay the normal price. And if I decide I don't want it, I'll sell it. So that's really the attitude I'm going in with some of this stuff. So for this one, A Deadly Betrayal. When Lian ascends the throne of Tinaxia, she vows to end her kingdom's obligation to the fickle immortals who once protected them. A dangerous alliance. She must learn their secrets to protect her people, but to do this, she will have to forge a tenuous alliance with the one she should fear and mistrust the most, the ruthless god of war. Fun. A fight for survival. A treacherous attraction ignites, but dark forces are closing in, and to save her people from an unspeakable fate, Lian must risk everything, even her heart. Yeah, sounds typical fun YA romance, really. Do we have any? We don't have any end papers. Yeah, she wrote Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and it is just a plain hardcover, but as I say, I don't care, because the main thing I buy these editions for is the sprayed edge. And it's beautiful. So that is everything for this haul. We went quite rapid fire because there's 32 books here and a lot to get through. And I'm not going to hold them up for this end clip, even though I have to do it for the thumbnail, because I don't want to think about how I'm going to hold all of these books. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know which book you think I should start with. Obviously, I've read a few of them already, because I'm doing pretty well. Other than with those. But if there's a book you think I should start with, please let me know, because I would love to hear your thoughts on what you've loved from these books I've hauled. If you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate a like, and if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe. In my description, I will also have a link to my Instagram and my Goodreads if you want to check out any more content from me. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video.